Morning, Simon. Just give me a shout if you can hear this. Okay, there's a few people coming in now. It looks like my audio is working. Um, Let me just check. Okay, that should be better. Okay, I should be coming through my microphone now. There's still a few people coming in. I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes, then we'll make a start. But it's great to have you. Thanks for joining me this morning. Just while people come in, I've put I've activated the Q&A section of Google Hangouts. So please feel free to pop in your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if there's any problems, let me know. Okay, good. Everyone can hear. Awesome. Welcome from California. That's early. Very early. What time is it in California to be joining us? Okay. All right, let's make a start. Welcome to, I guess, what is our first Google Hangout. It's something we may choose to repeat in the future. Great chance for us to spend time with you guys and share some of what's going on here and get you involved in some of the work we're doing as well. So we're pleased to have you. The Global Jam is something that's new for us as well. We owe that to Richard Gaskin, our new community manager, who was the one who proposed the idea of us all getting together and working on the product. So the purpose of this Global Jam is really, I guess, to work together and to find and fix bugs. Let me really quickly go through the 3 releases that are out in testing at the moment. We've got 662, which is a maintenance release. It has, I think, over 60 bugs now, or 60 bugs fixed now. So it's really the release we're working on to bring you as much stability as we can to the 6.6 cycle. There's been discussion of long-term support in LiveCode and the idea that we support our frontier products, but we also support a long-term version, and that long-term version is quite a few versions behind the kind of frontier, but is strong and stable, and we backport fixes to that. It's something we would like to see happen with probably the 7.0 release and make that our long-term support release. It's such a big change that I think most of you are going to want to move to it and going to want us to focus our energies on that. So for the time being, the 662, 663, 664, 665, whatever maintenance releases we release will be our long-term support, if you like. So our focus for today's Global Jam is very much on 662 and 6.7. We really want to refine those releases and get those out to you. 6.7, as many of you will know, was really focused around the Mac OS platform, which had become a little bit dated. We ported to Cocoa. We provided in-app purchasing. We also did a couple of other smaller features, and we're in the process of replacing the multimedia. So one thing that's exciting about this is that we've refactored the whole multimedia side of the platform, which is going to allow us to port to Windows Media Player and also to experiment. We don't know exactly how we're going to do this yet on Linux with porting to a Linux player. At the moment we use MPlayer, not everyone has it installed. There is the option for us now that we're open source to release a library with the product. So a video playing library with the product so that you can be guaranteed that you'll always get playback. The one downside of that is that every Linux player breaks licensing laws. Most of them will play back MP3, for example, which they haven't paid to license. So it does cause us a few problems in knowing what we can and can't include. So we're doing a little bit of research. But we're replacing video first on the Mac to prove the concept, and then we'll roll across the other platforms, probably for one of the either a 6.8 or a R7 release. And finally, the thing that we are also working on is performance optimization. Many of you who are working on high resolution displays, for example, the new MacBook Pros, will notice that LiveCode suffers a bit. And the main reason for that is that if you imagine a screen split up into 4 quadrants, a normal non-Retina display takes up just the upper left quadrant, but a Retina display has 4 times the number of pixels, taking up all 4 quadrants. And that's really putting a strain on the way LiveCode works. So we're switching some of the graphics work to run across multiple threads. So if the computer has 4 cores, we'll be splitting the screen up into 4 quadrants and letting the CPU render the initial each of those 4 quadrants independently. So our initial prototypes are showing that we're getting some really good speed up. We also have some plans to optimize the accelerated rendering features, which really do help with performance. We're hoping to generalize them enough so that they can become by default on. There's a little bit of an overhead in using accelerated rendering. So in those particular cases, we want to try and optimize it so that we can use it in the norm. And then people should experience the speed up by default. And we're also doing some work to optimize the way it works to get a little bit more performance as well. And then finally, there's quite a few internal optimizations we're working on. A variety of things like the way images are resized by the full screen mode. And we have some other ideas about working with images. PNGs tend to take quite a long time to decompress. So rather than taking milliseconds, they can often take, maybe large images might take 100 milliseconds to decompress. If you've got a lot of them on screen, you might be spending 100 milliseconds of the card opening on PNG decompression, and obviously that really does create a performance hit. So we're looking at threading those as well, and we'll wait and see exactly what areas we focus on and which make it into 6.7. But the idea being that we will definitely be delivering performance, some considerable performance increase for 6.7. For those people who are working with Retina displays, that will mean that LiveCode behaves as it does now. For those people working with non-Retina displays, you'll probably find LiveCode's never been faster. So something to look forward to for us all. Finally, the 7.0 release that many of you have been testing now. We just this morning released DP4. I'll post a message to the lists after this hangout, but if you go to downloads.livecode.com, you'll notice DP4 is in the list. Please feel free to download. If you are working with us today, we'd love you to be testing with DP4 if you have a focus on 7, if your interest area is 7. As many of you know, the LiveCode 7 release is really the refactor. It's the work that you all supported us to do in Kickstarter. What's exciting about it is that the language underpinnings, the engine, if you like, has been somewhat dated. It was designed and built in 1991, and it's developed since then, and it's never really had a proper shake-up from the ground up. But the LiveCode 7 project really is a substantial change in the way the engine is written. It's much more modern, much easier to develop for, and the plan over the kind of 7, 7.1, 7.2 is to extend out some of those changes. Our expectation is that we'll be able to add features much faster, and our target is to enable you all to add features much faster, to even add features in LiveCode itself. So there's a lot of work going on to make all that possible. So the 7.0 release that you see right now is just the tip of the iceberg. We're excited about the year ahead. So at the moment, 7.0 looks like the same version as it was before with Unicode support. But I can assure you it's opening the door for us to do a lot more. And primarily our first port of call after 7.0 will be to finish the Kickstarter goals, of which I know some of you are interested in quite a few. So it enables us to do that much faster than we would have done before. But also, of course, for the future, it's going to allow us to bring out some features that I think many of you will be excited about. So we're in the process of prototyping those, designing those. Some of them are underway, some of them are still in our imagination. But the support that you guys gave us through Kickstarter has really enabled us to have those dreams and visions of doing something much bigger. Our team is relatively small. There's 10 of us who develop, and then the company itself is about 25. So the amount that we can do has vastly increased because of your support in Kickstarter. So we thank you for that. So as for today, what we would love to do is invite you to be involved today, and just to say that your help is invaluable. We have an internal test system, and we do testing before we put out releases, but as you can imagine, with a team of 25 in total, there's only so much we can do. Our automated test system takes about 6 hours to run. It goes over all the major parts of the language, running through LiveCode and running small automated tests across all platforms, all versions. It does things like comparison testing, so it ensures that the results from LiveCode 6.6.2 match 6.7 and match 7.0 and so on. So the purpose of it really is to ensure that we don't put out any glaring issues, but as you can imagine with a development tool, what you guys do with it often pushes it so far beyond what we imagined would be done with it. So you often unearth issues that require multiple steps, and therefore simple logical tests don't reveal those for us. So today, and just in general, the testing cycle is hugely important, and we really value your support. We really thank you for taking the time to install our releases and use them. It really does make a big difference to us. So I guess what makes today unique is that the whole engineering team are available, bar one person who's preparing one of the sessions for the summer school, which starts next week. Everybody on the team is going to be available today for the next 8 hours, and the aim, I've set everyone we've got a little competition running in-house that whoever fixes the most bugs wins, and the most points are scored for bugs that were submitted today. So if you submit a bug today, you find an issue in 6.6.2 or 6.7 or 7, and you report that today, 9 engineers are competing to fix that bug. So it's an interesting experiment to see how we get on, but we really love to make this very interactive. We'd love to be fixing bugs right away. So please get involved today. The easiest way is to go to load up LiveCode, and if you go to the development menu and plugins and just run Go RevNet, it's a plugin, a community plugin. It has all the details of how to submit bugs, where to go. There's a new forum area that we've created especially for the next 48 hours. It's going to be manned by our 9 development staff who are available today, and our support staff, so we're all going to be on it, working with people to reproduce bugs. So normally we ask you to produce a recipe. Today we're more than happy to help you find that recipe. So there's a few guys who are dedicated to doing that, and then the rest of the team will be fixing confirmed bugs. So get your bugs in and we'll fix them. But the main details, as I say, are available through RevNet. So go to the development menu, plugins, and launch Go RevNet, and that will give you all the details you need for today. And the forum board, I think it is linked from there. There's also a Google Hangout with Kevin at 6 p.m. tonight. So that's 8 hours time. Hopefully I'll provide him with a kind of update on everything we managed to achieve today. So he'll be able to update you on that. But really we've titled the session Ask Me Anything, or Kevin has titled the session Ask Me Anything. So he's really willing to take questions on any subject and try and provide an interesting hour of Q&A with anyone in the community who is interested in chatting. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say for today. We'll be engaging all day long in the forums, and if you have bugs, post them through the usual means. There'll be lots of discussion on your bug, and we'll be fixing them. So hopefully, if you report a bug, it will get fixed before 6 p.m. tonight. So I'm more than happy to take questions for as long as you guys provide questions. I think there's a question box on the right. So yeah, I can see it. So please feel free to post questions. I'll stick around for a little while. If the questions start rolling in, we'll stay together and and chat. If not, we'll jump straight into bug fixing. So it's over to you now. Okay, I noticed a couple of people just joined. I'm afraid we just finished our update. We're just in a time of Q&A now. I'm more than happy to take questions on anything related to today, anything related to the product. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Ben. I'm the marketing, not the marketing manager, the product manager. On a day-to-day basis, I would tend to be working with our head of technology, Kevin, who's our CEO, and a variety of other team members. We do a lot of planning for the product. And then when planning is done and we're all working, I'll tend to be doing a lot of design work for a variety of initiatives across the whole of the life cycle from product to the web. So so hopefully I should have quite a good handle on what we do as a company, should have a good handle on where we're going in terms of the technology, and I should have a good handle on how we work internally. So Simon asked, are we really just 19? There's about 25 of us in total. I'd have to count to be specific. It's 24, 25. We have 10 main engineers, so 10 experienced engineers. We're in the process of adding another 6, so we'll be up to 16 engineers, hopefully by the end of the summer. We have a couple of guys who work in our quality team. So that you might know some of them, you might come across them. Hansen is the person who leads that team, and Neil, who many of you will come across and support, also works with Hansen there. We also have another developer called Eleanor who supports the quality team. We develop the test system in that team, and they are also supported a little bit by the engineers when they need a bit of more in-depth help. And then we have a number of other staff. We have a couple of web server and website staff, so they look after our main website developers. This is so a couple of separate developers who look after, as I say, the website and the OnRef servers. So if you are part of the OnRef server program and you use that service, then you've got a couple of guys who are dedicated to looking after you. A couple of guys in the marketing, then a couple of support staff who are great. We've got an account. Somebody who does books, and somebody else who's a more general staff member who looks after the office and looks after us, make sure we're all doing well. Yeah, and then a couple of guys who are work in support. So it all adds up, and the one great thing about LiveCode is that we're able to achieve quite a lot of well, LiveCode languages allows us to achieve quite a lot in quite a short space of time. I think many of you who have come to conferences, some of you who I can see are here, are running businesses with a very small development team and yet producing some pretty big results. So yeah, we can achieve quite a lot with a small team, but obviously as the product manager, I'd love to have a bigger staff, and we are in the process of recruiting that. And that's something that you guys have supported us with in Kickstarter and continue to support us with by being commercial customers, which is wonderful. Okay. Trevor just asked if I can add DP4 to the licensing as it won't activate. I certainly can. In the time being, just now for the next few minutes while this is on, feel free to download the community edition, which doesn't need activated, and I'll make sure the commercial edition activates shortly. That was DP4 of LiveCode 7. Okay, any other questions apart from Simon's? I'm more than happy to answer questions. Bear in mind that if I stop answering questions, I have to go fix bugs. So okay. Well, listen, thank you very much. Oh, Okay, Paul Richards has just asked how far down the line Windows Phone 8 is, and Scott Rossi has just asked a question. Wow, we have a few folks from over in the States. This is very early morning for you. Okay, let's start with Richard's question. It's a great question. To give you some background, first things first, the way we do our platform support decision making is very much based on market share. And so Windows 8 has been slowly gaining a little bit of traction, but still a relatively niche platform. But it's definitely coming to the point at which we would be willing to think about that. And one of the major changes that we've been making internally, which I guess only those who are really interested in our source will know, is that we've been developing what we call the platform layer. Now, up to now, the way the LiveCode engine has worked is that it's been relatively intertwined. So if you consider that this is the LiveCode engine here, and this is the platform specific hooks, like if you need to open up a system file dialog, or on the case of iOS, you need to play a video, that's been pretty much intertwined and quite locked. We call it the ball of spaghetti when we interview people. We look to challenge them as to whether or not they really want to work with spaghetti, and those people who do end up on our team. But what we've been doing is slowly teasing them apart, and so we've got the platform layer now working in 6.7 for Mac. It makes quite a big difference to us. It means we can take all of the major components that are required from a platform level and abstract them through a nice clean API. And we've done the first big job of coming across to that in Cocoa. You'll see multimedia is causing us to push that further out. And the idea is that we'll develop the platform layer further as we move through the other Kickstarter goals. You'll remember there's networking, and there's a variety of other areas that will cause us to kind of, I guess, take all the core platform functionality and abstract it out. So that's what the platform layer is doing. Once it's mature enough and it's working well for 6.7 and 6.7 1, 2, 3, 4, we would then be able to start rolling it across other platforms. Now, one of the main platforms that we need to do that for, of course, is Linux. Linux is a little dated. We need to move to GTK, and there's a couple of features that are preventing us from providing them on Linux, like the new WebKit browser, because of the fact we're still using X Windows. Now, LiveCode 7 required us to do quite a lot of work in that area anyway. Copy and paste with Unicode content doesn't work in X Windows, so we've had to move forward to a kind of halfway house between GTK and X11. So you can see us moving in that direction. Now, why do I say all this? Well, I say all this because at the point at which the platform layer has been matured a little bit, going in and tying into the new Windows 8 and Windows, I guess we'll call them Windows Metro, if you like, what was formerly Metro, the mobile Windows 8, Windows Phone 8 APIs becomes a lot easier, and actually tying in our whole architecture into Windows 8 becomes much easier. The second thing that's important to say about Windows 8 is that LiveCode 7 is a really key part to all of this. LiveCode 7 is a big refactoring change, but the main thing is that it's really, as I say again, pulled apart the language from the actual raw implementation. So now implementing a Windows Phone 8 implementation of certain LiveCode functionality is much easier than it used to be. So deploying or porting LiveCode to a platform has become something that we can do much more easily. So Windows 8 has become something that we now will be able to consider post 7. What I would suggest for you is that what we need to see is we need to see 6.7 mature, and we need to see the 7.0 come out into general release. Once those two things are out into general release and we're starting to develop down that, then I guess on that platform, if that becomes our base platform, adding features is much more easy. It's going to be a lot easier, and porting to new platforms is going to be easier. So the one thing I'd say though is that we do have a little bit of work to do on our existing platforms before we can jump into Windows 8. So we are expanding our team. We're working hard to find good developers. It's difficult to find people who have the kind of raw skills needed to work on LiveCode. It's quite an interesting challenge, and there's a very there's a certain type of person who's very well suited for it, and so we're hunting for those guys, and we've got a couple of people joining in September, so that's good, and hopefully we'll get a few more. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, Simon said, are you really just 19? Oh, is that my age? No, I'm 32. I'm not sure where 19 came from. Maybe that's in my profile somewhere. Okay, next question is from Scott Rossi. Hi, Scott. You said you're open to receiving bug reports without the usual example stacks, detailed reports. Should we submit issues found with 7 DP3 or start over with DP4? Okay, a couple of questions there. Firstly, start over with DP4, please. We fixed a substantial number of things in DP4, so a lot's changed. And secondly, when we say we're open to receiving bug reports, we are for today. Our suggestion is, though, that you jump onto the RunRev forums, or the LiveCode forum, should I say, and there's a specific board that we've created for discussing this kind of stuff. So you can throw your report up there, whatever it might be, and somebody on the staff here will try and work to get a replication. We need to be able to reproduce what we can't fix. So of course we still need to work with you to get that far, but there may be information you can pass on to us, which one of our guys on the team is able to reproduce something with it, and we're able to produce a fix. So I would suggest going to the forum and posting whatever information you have in relation to the bug, and the guys will try and help you reproduce and work with you. Okay, Martin Koob said, RunRev added the rev capture command to replace rev video grabber, and I reported some bugs on that. With the Cocoa project to replace rev video grabber, is it necessary to test those bugs on 6.7, or can those be marked as closed? Okay, Martin, yeah, that's a great question. Probably what will happen is that we'll close them ourselves once 6.7 and the multimedia features are out and into the product. So we tend to do that. We go through and we close bugs after the fact. We miss a lot of them because obviously churning through a database that has 12,000 reports, and of course 9,500 of them are closed and finished and done, but there's still it's still difficult to trawl through that. So if you can help us with that beyond 6.7 being released, then please do close those. I'd keep them open for now, just because it does mean that what will happen when we get to rev video capture is we'll be writing automated tests, of course, for the new capture stuff. And one of the things we like to do by discipline is to go through and look at all the bugs that have been reported in that specific area and ensure that we have tests that cover those cases, to make sure that when the feature is out, the bug has been resolved. Okay. Okay. I think that might be everything. Okay, oh no, there's Peter. Sorry, the questions are jumping around here. The move to Cocoa presumably updates all the under-the-hood support on macOS X. Will it in principle allow for some Cocoa native controls, or is that another whole area of development activity again? Okay, Peter, that's a good question. Yes, it has meant that we have essentially ported almost everything to new APIs. Hence why 6.7 initially there was quite a lot of danger of instability. Overall, 6.7 seems to be quite strong. It's been used a lot in-house, and we're not experiencing many crashes. There's been a handful of things reported, which we now are aware of. There's about 15 to 20 outstanding bugs, which we'll be working on for the next build. But overall, seems like it's a very strong release. Now, what does that mean for native controls? Well, the area of control is an interesting one. We're currently prototyping and working on a controls-based project. It's a little bit too early for me to really share any information on it, because that information will probably go out of date very quickly. But one of our aims is to develop the ability for us to easily add controls, and that includes to be able to tie into native controls. So it's an area that I think my advice would be just watch this space. We are working on it. It's not part of what we do with 6.7 in Cocoa, but we are aware of the fact that we do want native controls as we have on iOS and Android. There's a real hunger for native controls, or to be able to tie into the native control layer of the various operating systems. So we are working on that, and so do watch this space. Okay. Okay, I think that's all the questions. As I say, sorry, they are jumping around a little bit. Okay, and Martin has just asked, is the new AV Foundation-based player going to be feature equivalent to the current player? I have all the same commands and properties. A couple I am interested in are allow editing and callbacks. Okay, Martin, thank you again. That's a good question. As you know, or as you might have picked up from Panos's blog post last week, I think it was, AV Foundation, the API is considerably different to the existing APIs. So we have been developing a variety of features around the AV Foundation port in order to try and produce some feature parity with what is there already. There's obviously some issues with that because the players themselves don't have this an equivalent API, so we're having to implement some of the feature sets under the hood. My suggestion is that we are attempting to. We know that Martin, video is important for you, and some of the features that are available are important for you. So we're conscious of that, and we are developing as best we can to match the existing features. Obviously, the advantage, of course, of moving to AV Foundation is there are new features, and so we can tie into those too, which makes our multimedia offering stronger. So I guess wait until the DP comes out, test, let us know the things that aren't working. Obviously, because we have an active developer on it, it makes it easy for us to extend and expand as needed. Okay, Andy has just asked, on Android, do you have any time scale for allowing background operations and adding the ability to add notifications in the notifications area? Okay, yeah, another great question, Andy. So the way in which well, the reason we don't currently support running in the background is because the wait paradigm in LiveCode is completely incompatible with the way in which the OSs work themselves. So you've got the iOS and Android operating systems. Both require considerable control over the event loop. The event loop is the kind of fundamental loop that's running at all times when an app is running. It's communicating between the app and the OS. And on the desktop platforms up to now, we've always had essentially control over that event loop, and the operating systems allow us to manage it. They allow us to control it if it pauses, because we pause it using wait. The operating systems are okay with that. They don't deem that to be a crashed app, or they don't deem it to be a problem. Whereas on the iOS and Android side, this is quite different. Mobile platforms obviously have different constraints, and so yeah, unfortunately, the way the event loop works on those platforms, the operating system is in control rather than us, so we have to give a lot more control over to the OS. So the idea of wait is a real problem for those platforms. So that prevents us from being able to offer it as a default feature. Now, we do provide the ability for people to change the manifest file themselves, and therefore allow the app to be on iOS certainly to be put to sleep, if you like, and woken up. And the discipline or the onus is on the developer not to use any features that will clash with that. And it's essentially not something we can bring to the standard platform at the moment. So I mean, we'll keep reviewing that situation. Obviously, it's a feature that we know people want. We would like to provide the ability to sleep by default. So again, watch this space. We're always reviewing it. It's a known issue. Okay. At the moment, we are out of questions. Any other questions? Okay, I'll wait a couple more minutes to take any further questions. If I haven't answered your question, please just post it again. The order of the questions doesn't seem to work in date order, so please post it again. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. It's great to chat with you and to have your questions and be able to answer. We're around all day today. We'll be on the forums, as I say. So please do work with us. Hopefully we can fix your bugs today, and we'll get some builds out early next week that will have all these fixes in it, and we can progress both 6.6.2 and 6.7 towards public release. As I said at the beginning, we really appreciate your support. We can't make this platform without you. We need the support, and so thank you once again. Oh, I've just had a post from Kevin saying there's 2 unanswered. Martin asked, is implementing capture on all platforms in the plans as well? Yes, it is. As I described, we're working on the platform layer and pushing features down into the platform layer, into this platform abstraction. And once we do that, what it allows us to do is simply tie into the various APIs that are required to implement that on specific platforms. So as we roll that out, we would roll across Windows as well. And ideally, again, it all depends on licensing, we'll be trying to do that on Linux as well. We'll either pick the best player that we can find, or the best multimedia library that we can find that's common across platforms, or we'll try and distribute something with the LiveCode source so that we can be confident that all multimedia functionality works on whatever Linux box your app is running on. But again, that will depend on licensing. Okay, that was one of the questions. And perhaps, Kevin, you can post me the other question that I've missed. Okay. Okay, Kevin has posted, on Android, how about just not in focus? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that question. Let me try and find who posted that. I'm sure you know who you are. Do post a follow-up to that. I'm not sure I fully understand what it is that you're looking for in terms of... it was Simon. So yeah, Simon, if you want to post a follow-up, that would be great. Simon's question was on Android, how about not just in focus? I presume it's a response to sleep, being able to sleep. So I'll give you a moment just to follow up if it's a question that matters to you. Okay, Doron just posted, I just checked a simple Hebrew app with 7.0 DP4 and it seems still not to work in Hebrew. Text is all confused. So, Doron, I think the Hebrew issue is a slightly complicated one, in that Hebrew text here, when you input raw new Hebrew text, works, or at least so we can tell anyway. And from memory, some of the Hebrew text you're using is in the older style, or it's kind of being ported forward, and so that's a little bit more of a it's kind of a LiveCode scripting thing. I think discuss on the forums. We'll get the LiveCode 7 guys to help you further. I think that we are aware that obviously Hebrew is a particularly complicated right to left language, so there's work for us to do there to try and help support that as best we can. So I mean, I think discuss the issue on the forums as well. You'll get an update from the guys as to where they're at on that. There's about 18, I think, at the moment, outstanding bugs on 7.0. Some are hard to fix, which is why they're being left till later. Some we expect to be fixed as part of other aspects of tweaking and fixes that we're doing. So while we might get, I don't know, let's say 50 bugs reported against 7.0, we wouldn't necessarily fix them all before doing another release. It's important sometimes because some of them it wouldn't be cost effective to fix at this stage because we know we've got work to do developing the 7.0 engine further, at which point that will be fixed automatically. So it's that kind of thing. So my suggestion is discuss it in the forums. As I say, all the engineers are going to be live today working specifically on features that are discussed there. So bring it up. The guys will help you as best they can, and if it's a case that the specific area that your Hebrew text, which is in a very specific format, is still not rendering correctly, that may be because they plan to do something else further down the development track. So I'd post in the forums. Okay, so Simon's follow-up is when the home button is pressed. So I think this falls probably under a similar. It probably uses the same feature, if you like, the home button to sleep the app and bring it back, as opposed to the app switching to the background when other apps are, when you go and run other apps and it disappears, but it stays as a running app, and then reopens. As I say, I think the best thing for you to do, Simon, is to jump into the forums and discuss exactly what it is that you're trying to do, and the engineers might be able to help you a little bit. It may be that there's some manifest tricks that you can do to get this to work, or it may be that it's currently a feature that just there's no way of making it work, in which case you can discuss it with the team and they can look at the source. And what it usually does is it will trigger a discussion with me as to this feature is being requested, and we'll see what we can do. As I say, generally that area, because of the weight issue and because of the control that Android has over the event loop, it prevents us from being able to do some of those things. Essentially, the platform deems our app to have crashed and therefore shuts it down. So it would require quite a fundamental rethink of how our language works in terms of weight. And I mean, there's been a number of attempts to try and resolve this and try and come up with a happy medium that the OS is happy with and that allows LiveCode scripters to continue to code using the weight system. So we've tried and we've gotten close sometimes, and other times there's some subtle instabilities that there's no way of getting out. And obviously an unstable platform is a bad thing for the technology as a whole. So at the moment, it's an unsupported feature, if you like, where people can change things in the manifest. So, I mean, come on and discuss, share your app, share what you're trying to do, and the team will feedback as best they can. As I say, in the forum, go to the RevNet plugin and click on the link to the forum. Okay, I can select these questions to move them. Okay, I think, again, that's us. If you have any questions, please post them in the box while I clear away these. Okay, it looks like we have answered all the questions. Wonderful. Okay, well, once again, thank you for joining us. What I'm going to do is sign off, but I'll be available all day on the forums, and I'll be involved with the team in fixing a variety of bugs, and with the quality guys in reading your reports and passing them through to the team. So I look forward to working with you for the rest of the day. Don't forget that this also runs tomorrow. Richard in the States will be looking after those who are participating, and there's a number of community volunteers who are going to be helping out too. So we look forward to coming in and well, Tuesday morning and working through everything that comes up from the jam. So it's a pleasure for us to be able to do that and to put out another release. Also, there's two more Google Hangouts, one with Kevin with the title Ask Me Anything. So you can ask Kevin anything at 6 p.m. tonight. That's 6 p.m. BST, British Standard Time. And then there's another with Richard Gaskin at 10 a.m. PDC, I believe, which PDC? He's based in LA, so 10 a.m. LA time tomorrow morning. So once again, thank you very much. Peter, I'll just go and check on our server version for you and find out where a build for that is and get that uploaded for you. And apart from that, thanks once again for your support. We appreciate it. Look forward to working with you today and, of course, in the future with all the other bugs. And if you've enjoyed this Google Hangout, please indicate so in some way. And if it's something that you'd like to see more of, then that will help us to know. So yeah, I guess you can comment on the original feed in Google+. And so yeah, show your desire for it. If you've liked it, we'll do more of them, potentially more global jams, but certainly more updates and hangouts. Okay. Finally, please post the address of the forums for today. Yeah, I certainly will. I'll just post that to my as a response to this Google Hangout on my feed, so you should see that come up in a second. Great. Once again, thanks very much. All the best today, and let's see what we can achieve together. Brilliant. Take care.